Yo.
What's up, guys? I'm Code Gray, and welcome back to the channel. And oh man, I am happy to be out today. It is mid-February, and it's 53 degrees. It's a bit windy, but I don't care. It's been a month, maybe a little bit longer, since I've been out on the bike, so cabin fever was building up. And man, I needed this. So today I am taking on yet another challenge. Today is Ricky Bobber's challenge. 5 fun facts. Now granted, they may not all be fun, but they are facts. And that guy in the semi was looking at me like, who's this guy talking to? Alright, fun fact number 1. I've only been on an airplane twice in my life. I took a flight to go to Florida, to go to Disney World, and I took a flight home. That's it. So those are the only 2 times I've ever been on a plane. It's funny though, before I went on that trip, growing up, I always thought, you know what? I think skydiving might be cool. Now what you need to know beforehand is I am afraid of heights, but I always thought skydiving would be kind of cool. Yeah, once I got up there and looked out, I realized, nah, I'm good. There's no need to jump out of this thing. Be just fine. Alright, in Ricky's video, he talked about some of the celebrities that, well, either he had interactions with or something to do with celebrities. Let's just put it that way. So that'll lead me into my number 2. Celebrities that I have either met or have been in very close proximity of. Alright, quite a few years back. I know it's been at least maybe 15 years. Somewhere between 12 and 15 years. Somewhere around there. I went to the Arnold Classic down in Columbus, Ohio. And that is a kind of like a show or a get-together, whatever you want to call it, for bodybuilding and fitness and that kind of thing, and it's put on by Arnold Schwarzenegger. So me and my wife and my youngest son, we went down there to the Arnold Classic, and while we were there, we actually got to meet Arnold Schwarzenegger. I didn't actually talk to him, but I was within 3 or 4 feet from him. He walked right by me. Also got to see Lou Ferrigno, who played the Incredible Hulk in the old TV show. And well, if you're into the bodybuilding thing and you know all those guys who compete, I got to see all of those guys too, because they were all there. But right as we were getting ready to leave the Arnold Classic, we left the main arena part, and we went out into the main aisleways where you go to leave. And as soon as we come out, we walked right into Maria Shriver, which was Arnold's wife at the time. If you know Maria Shriver, she's family with the Kennedys, and she was a big-time news anchor for a while. Well, we bumped right into her, and she stopped me and my wife and talked to us for a few minutes before we left. So that was pretty interesting. Alright, a few years after that, me and my wife, we went to a car show up in Cleveland, one of the big ones. I don't remember the name of it, but it was one of the big ones. I think it was at the Cleveland IX Center, if I remember right. But while we were there, we got to meet Lee Ermey. If you know him, he is the He was the drill sergeant in Full Metal Jacket, and a ton of other things, but he's pretty famous for that. I don't remember the guy's name, but he played Cooter on Dukes of Hazzard. I'll throw pictures up. And also who was there was Vern Troyer. He played Mini-Me in Austin Powers. So I got to see all those guys. And also, well, finally, I did mention this in a previous video, but I did get to meet the lead singers and lead guitarists from the band Slayer and Testament, which I thought was pretty darn cool. All right, fun fact number 3. I'm an artist. Been that way ever since I was a little kid. I've been drawing. Drawn a ton of stuff. Drew a ton of stuff. All throughout my life. No painting, just mainly drawing. If you ever meet me and you happen to see all my tattoos, those were all drawn by me. They weren't put on by me, but every one of them was drawn by me. And once I got older, I got started getting into digital art on the computer. And I had a couple of programs that I used to use to create art on the computer. And I used to post it on this one website called Renderosity. It's all, you know, digital media. And I got contacted by a magazine out of England. They wanted to put one of my pictures in their magazine, which at that time I thought that was super cool. I'll show you the picture right here. Now that picture, you'll notice it's a lot of black. My computer at the time when I created the art pretty much sucked, so any art I created had to be fairly dark and minimalistic art, because it just couldn't handle it. So the pictures I made, they were, well, there wasn't a lot of data in them. And unfortunately, because of that, the picture that I sent them to go into their magazine, the file size wasn't big enough and it wouldn't print out crisp and clean for them. So it ended up not getting used, which kind of sucked. But I thought it was still pretty cool to be even asked to have my stuff put in the magazine at that time. All right, fun fact number 4. Almost got attacked by a cougar. Many years ago, I took a trip down to West Virginia. I have family down there on my mom's side. And we went down there to visit. At that time, I took one of my best friends with me because he had never been out of the state and he's never seen any kind of mountains or hills or anything. So I took him with me. While we were down there, my grandpa had a couple four-wheelers. So he let us take one, and we went up on the mountains, just going around all over the place. Well, I had remembered that my grandpa, my grandpa and some of my other family members had like a little summer home kind of thing on the mountaintop. So we went to see if we could find it. Well, we found it. It had a barn. So we got off the four-wheeler and started looking at the house, and when we were getting ready to go check out what was in the barn, and as we were getting near the barn, we started hearing this growling. And man, out from behind this barn, we seen the head of this cougar just peek out. Needless to say, we didn't waste any time at all. We immediately turned and ran as fast as we could, jumped on the four-wheeler, and sped down that mountainside. much faster than what we probably should have been. But yeah, we got out of there. So we get down off the mountain, and I start telling my grandpa about it, and he's like, "Oh yeah, you shouldn't go up around that area. That Cougars has kittens or cubs in that barn." Okay, well, that would have been nice to know before we went up there, but it is what it is, I guess. All right, the fifth and final fun fact. Now this last one, it's not a fun fact, but it may explain a few things. We'll get to that. We'll just get to that in a minute. Okay, the final not so fun fact. If I look back throughout my life, apparently I must be accident prone. I've had some few severe injuries in my time. If we start back when I was really young, I think the first thing that happened was I think I was maybe 4 or 5 years old. I bit my tongue off. Took 30 stitches to get it sewed back on. I kind of remember it happening. I'm glad I don't remember too much, but yeah, that was the first thing. Bit my tongue off. Let's see. A few years after that, I know I was still young. I know I was under 10. I broke my cheekbone in a sled riding incident. Jumped a great big hill and ended up going into a parking lot, right into a van bumper, face first. That I remember. That sucked. All right, next on the list is cracked ribs. I had cracked ribs in a car accident, the one and only car accident I was ever in. I was 15, had my temporary permits, had my sister in the passenger seat, my older sister, and driving down a straightaway just like this, actually. And of course it was wintertime. Hit some black ice, spun out, hit another car, which is another reason why I don't like winter. And then that moves on to probably one of the worst injuries I've ever had, which I've slightly talked about it in a previous video. The injury to my hands. I was going into work one night at a factory, and I was plugging in an industrial dryer. Well, the wiring was messed up, and I got zapped with 480 volts. I was holding on to the plug, and the plug receptacle has like a flap that goes up and down. So my left hand had a hold of the flap, my right hand had a hold of the plug. Plugged it in, 480 volts through one hand, and then through my arms, through my chest, out my other hand. Plug exploded. Got flash burnt on my face from the explosion. But both hands and arms, from the biceps down, both of them, 3rd-degree burns. Sorry, this may be squeamish, by the way. This may make you squeamish, by the way. So once I was burnt, within minutes, I mean literally minutes, under 5, the skin on both arms started to sag and droop, and I won't go into too much detail because it gets kind of gross, but it was nasty. A coworker calls an ambulance. Ambulance comes and picks me up, takes me to the hospital. The hospital looks at me and says, "Sorry, we can't do nothing for you here. We called Life Flight." So they put me on a Life Flight helicopter and flew me up to Cleveland Metro Hospital to their burn unit. Now when I got to the burn unit, Like I said, this may make you squeamish. What skin they couldn't peel off, they cut off. And they peeled and cut me all the way down to my last layer of skin. They do that with the help of the healing process, and it reduces scarring. So, if you've never been burnt, like severely burnt, what you need to know is that you have to have your bandages changed daily, and each day dried skin peels off with it, and then you have to peel what didn't come off. And when you take the bandages off of those type of burns, it's like being burnt all over again. All right. Now, what was really messed up about it is my hands were so burnt that I actually had a surgeon come in and tell me, while I was getting peeled and cut, I had a surgeon come in and tell me they're going to do some type of check in my blood work and urine and all that, and if I reach some kind of number, I don't know what it represents, by the way. The number was like, if I reach like a 19 or a 20, whatever it meant, that I would either have to have all the muscles in my hands removed or my hands amputated. So needless to say, I was shitting bricks. So luckily I skated under at like 14, whatever the number represents. So still got my hands, but due to that, that's why my hands cramp so easily, because they were burnt so bad, which I'd mentioned in a previous video. But yep, I had to go daily to the burn unit for 3 months to be peeled by them. Then for the next 3 months, my wife had to do it at home. And then after the first 6 months were up, I had to wear these socks on my arms, and I wasn't allowed to go out in direct sunlight for the next 6 months. So basically I couldn't go out in the sun for a year. Yeah, so that pretty much sucked. Like I said, that last one, it is not a fun fact at all. All right, Ricky, there's your 5 fun and not so fun facts challenge. Hopefully I completed it to your satisfaction. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap this up because I'm done talking. I'm going to enjoy riding. It's been a month. I want to enjoy myself a little bit. But I wanted to bring you guys along too and complete this challenge of Ricky's. So, yep, I'm going to wrap it up here. I'm Code Gray. I'll catch you guys in the next one.